Hello, everyone, and welcome to Geeky Geezers. I am your host, Aged Boomer. This is my co-host, PaPa Pacelli.
Hello, hello.
I figured I'd do the NPR intro.
There
I
you
was
go.
trying to be very soft-spoken, lull you to sleep. I'm sorry, we love NPR, right? I'm kidding. Anyway,
Right.
how you doing tonight? What you sipping on?
I'm just having my grapefruit soda. I
Okay.
told you yesterday I was having some stomach problems, and although they've cleared up today, I kind of want to take it easy so I can get a good night's sleep because I got to go back to work tomorrow.
So you're not going to be like Deckard with those millions of bottles of whiskey he had in Blade Runner.
Those had to last him the rest of his life.
I'm telling you.
That's why I bought so many cases of Tab.
Ah. Oh yeah, Big Al. He broke the
He's
news.
ripping on us about the
What's he,
Amityville. I
the
mentioned
what?
last. For those of you that were listening in on last night's rewatch on Netter's Network, we did a rewatch of Blade Runner 2049. Not that that really matters to what I was going to say, but I was talking with Big Al. I had sent Big Al some. Everyone knows Big Al is like a big cryptid fan and Bigfoot enthusiast. Well, as I was doing the research for tonight's stream, I ran across there happens to be a Amityville Bigfoot, something about the Amityville house with Bigfoot, and so I did I grabbed the poster and sent it to Al. I said, apparently this is a thing, so that's why he saw that we were going to be talking about Amityville tonight. So he said, have a great show, you
With Eric
Amityville geezers.
with Eric Roberts was in the one with Bigfoot,
Oh, Eric Roberts.
right?
Oh gosh.
How? He was in the Dark Knight.
Does
Remember?
he just need money? I mean, because he's a good actor, but he's taking
Yes.
like every role. Nothing is too small or bizarre or low budget.
I don't understand. I don't know if it's because was he in the shadow of Julia Roberts? He's a good actor in his own right. I thought I don't know. He was in Doctor Who, the made for
I
TV
know
movie
he
when he
was
was
the
the
master
master.
for
He was the
crying out loud.
master. He
I
was.
hope he's going to conventions. I mean, I'd certainly rather go get his autograph than, Dr. Her.
He was the villain in the DOA Dead or Alive movie based on the fighting game series.
Oh
I
my
remember that.
gosh. Yeah.
All right, who's here? Netters Network. Hello, thank you. Who else is here? D
David
Pensack.
Pensack. Yeah. Let me bring up the
Um,
comments here. It's
Eric
easier to see them
Roberts
there.
is taking a cue from Donald Pleasance.
Maybe. You're right.
Maybe.
I guess I can't really argue that point with you. Deleted scenes, of
These
course.
scenes,
He's the
welcome.
man. He is omnipresent on the YouTube sphere in our network,
Yes, he is everywhere.
and I super appreciate that.
I know we were doing the Firewalk with the rewatch. You know what I checked out on Saturday? Apparently, I don't know if these are TikTok videos, but I find them on YouTube too. It's David Lynch giving his weather report for the day. Have you seen those?
I have not. I'll have to check it
No,
out.
he'll give the weather report and he'll do some random factoid and it's just him, yelling out what the weather, what he's expecting the weather, I guess, in Los Angeles that day. It's funny. I don't know. You should check it
Utter
out. Yeah.
Dread says, "My friends call me Murphy, but you can call me RoboCop."
Yeah, I don't know what they're planning. We'll get to
We'll get to that.
RoboCop
Yeah.
later.
Well, that's the thing. I do that thumbnail, and pretty much everyone gets excited about one particular story. So
I almost
pretty
I
cool.
almost wanted to say RoboCop returns, and I'm like, yeah, but not in the way you think.
Yeah,
But it may not. It may be a good thing though. So we'll see.
It may
okay?
be better than a movie sequel. or
Sometimes that
another
happens.
remake.
Sometimes the games tend to be better than the movies.
Well, for the
It's
longest
like-
time, you could say that about Ghostbusters, the PC game, right?
yeah, the video game. It was actually, I think, even written by Dan Aykroyd, wasn't it?
Dan Aykroyd even said in his mind
Yeah.
it was like the third part, and people are still, the fans are still like, is it continuity or not? It almost could be, but if we get real technical, it can't be. I don't know.
Well, it's a what if. You can still enjoy it.
Oh, absolutely. And if you can't enjoy it, I've downloaded it. I haven't played it, but there are lots of what do they call them, walkthroughs on or playthroughs or whatever on YouTube. You could check out.
Yes. Later on, I remember I got to post a link to Nanette's rewatch from last night, where I pontificated on Blade Runner 2049.
Yep.
I do love that movie. I understand they're haters. I think we'll both be on the same side when Blade Runner 2099 comes out. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be negative about a show I haven't seen. We don't even know anything about it.
Well, maybe
I'm
not
just
negative, but it's certainly reasonable to be trepidatious, especially these days. I understand that. I know.
They could have done anything with Blade Runner. They could have said it. They could have said it like around the time of the first movie, said it in a different city, maybe. So you don't have to worry about having Harrison Ford in there. It could be a different police department, and maybe New York City or Chicago or something. How they dealt with replicants.
I'm just thinking that a really good. I mean, and I don't know how you would market this, but this would be a film that would be made or broken based on its marketing. You do a film that seems to be like a thriller or a, pseudo sci-fi taking place in the modern setting, and you tell the story that leads up to the alternate history of Blade Runner with the first creation of the first replicants, but you don't market it that way. You market it as a completely different, unrelated sci-fi film, and let people, when they actually get to see it, only the people that see it like opening night will be surprised by this, because then social media blows it up, right? And be like, the Tyrell Corporation, oh my gosh, this is a prequel to Blade Runner. They didn't market it this way,
That'd be neat. Yeah, right? I'd find that interesting.
But you would need clever marketing to make that work.
You were still triggered by Blade Runner 29.
Well, we don't. He's assuming he'll be triggered. Let's wait and see.
I'm predicting the worst, but you're right. We should wait for more details.
Hope for the best, but be prepared for the worst. That's right.
Yeah.
And Deleted Scene says Eric Roberts is an Oscar-nominated actor. WTF? Yeah, that's what we've been talking about. Big Al was the one who brought this up first. Just credit where credit is due. He pointed this out, and then I stopped to think about it. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're right.
What was he nominated for? What was he nominated for?
Was it DOA?
No. It wasn't that one about the murder of the Playboy Playmate that became an actress. What's her name? Was he in that? It had Mariel Hemingway was in it. Or I don't know. I'm having a boomer moment. I can't remember.
Runaway Train.
Runaway Train. Okay.
Well, at least David is saying he was.
I don't. Really Star 80. Yeah. Was it Star 80 he was nominated for? Or was it Runaway Train? Now I don't know. Because Star 80 was.
Oh, I like Star 80. Yeah. I didn't know he was in it because I wasn't paying attention to him.
I thought he was. I don't know. Maybe he was.
I wouldn't have noticed the male characters in that movie.
Yeah, I understand.
As far as I was concerned, I was the male characters in that movie.
I don't know. We let me know if you get to the G's in your collection. I'm sure you have Galaxina somewhere, right? No.
I don't think I even know that movie.
You don't know what Galaxina is?
I don't think so.
Galaxina. Hold on. Let's do a little factoid. That was the movie.
Dorothy Stratton.
Dorothy Stratton is in it, and she plays a robot, and it's like a science fiction spoof thing. And like there's a guy who's like
it would be kind of cool, right?
Making fun of like Mr. Spock is in there and other things, and it's Galaxina. Okay.
Yeah, I'll have
Dorothy
to check
Stratton.
that out.
I think it was her first part. Yeah. But, oh well. Okay. Anyway,
well, I look up who's in it, and I see Avery Shriver, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this might be worth seeing. You
were in Nashville, Tennessee. Were you at the Grand Ole Opry? Opry. Yes, I was there once. Did you know that?
At the Opry?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yep. You can actually. It's actually fairly. It's not. At least when I went, it wasn't horribly expensive to go in there because they do shows all the time there, and you could just sit there in the audience, and it would be like a live radio program.
Right, exactly. It's just the big shows
there, and it's
it's the big gala shows that
right.
It's booked up and you can't get in. But yeah, you're right. On an average night, you're probably fine.
Nashville's a neat town. I wouldn't mind going there again, but. Galaxina was cool. Yes, he remembers it. Okay. Well, I don't know who else is going to spill on in here, but we might as well get things going. Let's talk about
the good old days.
Let's talk about something scary.
Sort of.
Now, we talked about the Amityville horror movie a
Hmm.
while back on the stream, but did you know that there was a sequel made?
I know there was a lot of sequels made, and some of them are
Amityville
not
2.
official.
Some of
Yeah,
them are not official.
some of them are not
I mean,
official.
they're
They
not
wouldn't
paying
be
the
considered to be part of the canon of the original Amityville movie. But Amityville 2 actually isn't a sequel. It was actually a prequel.
yes, and as we know, in the Amityville house, there was a real murder that happened there. I mean, it's
Yeah.
actually a horrible story if you think about it. There was the son of a family. He murdered his siblings and his parents. Right,
Yep, Robert DeFeo.
Robert
Um,
DeFeo. Yeah,
and but as I pointed out, that a good deal of the original movie was exaggerated and fictionalized. Um, Amityville 2: The Possession is almost entirely fictionalized to the point where even the names of the characters and
Montelli. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
it
the
was
Montelli family instead of
Montelli.
yeah.
Well, they kept them Italian, I guess. I don't know
Yes.
if I should be offended by that or not, but yeah, it's not the DeFeo family. They also made it a smaller family too, because there was 3 boys and 2 girls in the original DeFeo family,
Right.
and there was fewer kids in the movie.
Right. So, did you see this in the theater, or did you have to wait for TV to see this?
Not only did I not see it in theater, I didn't see an edited TV version of it. I saw it when it was on cable. I want to say
Oh, okay.
cable, or maybe I saw it on VHS. Either way, that's the same like time period, so it could have been either. I don't recall exactly.
Yeah. Um. So, the real story was actually interesting. I remember I got the old MGM box set of all the 3 Amityville movies and like a couple of History Channel, I believe, documentaries on the Amityville case.
Mm-hmm.
And they were pointing, of course, to the stuff that the Lutzes said happened, but they also talked about the DeFeo story. And they made a point that the son had some problems. I don't
Yeah,
know
he
if he had some
definitely did.
mental issues, maybe drugs. I don't know. He was trying to actually get away from his father too and get away from the family. He would leave, but then they figure the father would figure out ways to get him returned back home, and they think maybe he knew some people that could go find his son. You know, certain organizations that might be able to find them for him. You know what I mean?
Right,
Yeah, it's
right,
like
right.
yeah, but yeah.
There,
So
there, and again, real world. There was definitely some speculation that Ryan DeFeo Jr. might have had some mafia connections. Actually, some speculation that Senior had some mob connections as well. He was as I recall, he was a used car salesman, I believe.
yeah, no, like I don't know. I'm not even saying what he did was crooked, but I knew he probably knew people and knew people,
Oh
maybe that
yeah,
sort
no.
of thing.
When I
Yeah,
say had a
yeah,
connect, that doesn't mean he
yeah,
did anything illegal. He
yeah,
just knew
yeah.
people, may have had some connections.
It's like in the Godfather movie. It says, you come to me now, and you never even had
Look,
me over
if
for a cup of
someone sends
coffee.
you
Yeah,
business,
yeah,
it doesn't matter if they've done something illegal. Doesn't mean your business is tainted by that. It just means they sent you someone to buy a car.
yeah. Okay, but so did this movie freak you out when you saw it on cable a bit, huh?
Well, when you consider that this one, and it's been a long time since I've seen it, so I may be misremembering it, but my recollection of it was that you almost could downplay the supernatural elements to it more so than the first movie. You can almost go, okay, I could see this happening without there being any supernatural elements. And when you do that, it's almost scarier. This idea that this person does all these horrible things and then murders his whole family.
Now in the
That is bad. That is bad. And that can and does actually happen.
now the son's name was Sonny
Mm-hmm.
Montelli,
That seems kind of on the nose.
and actually, who played the father in this? Hold on, I believe it was that same guy who played Paulie in Goodfellas. I'm
It
trying to
was
think.
James Olsen.
Okay,
Oh no,
never
no, I'm
mind.
sorry.
That was the
He played
father.
he
Yeah,
played the priest.
Burt Young.
Burt Young.
Nope, not him. He looked similar looking guy. Okay, never mind. What do I know? Anyway, I remember one part of the movie that stood out, which he had a sister, right, around his age, right, and
Played by Diane Franklin. Yes,
yeah,
I remember her very, very vividly, very, very, very clearly. Yes.
yeah, and his evil demonic possession was making him do some bad things with his sister, as I recall, right?
Yeah, and they did it in a very interesting way because they did it in a way that made her complicit. So it definitely implies the whole corruption of innocence thing.
Yeah. Okay. And of course, this movie it had the priest character who I guess has to exercise uh, uh poor poor Sonny, right? I remember
Yeah,
the exorcism scene at the end of the movie. Yeah.
yeah, I mean that whole concept of exorcism was very, very popular ever since the movie The Exorcist, and I'm sure that the get physical aerobics movements had something to do with it. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I think the whole I hate this. I call them like the satanic panic movies. It
Yeah,
starts with like Rosemary's Baby, and then it carries on from there, right?
and
That
this is
all
the
throughout the
kind of thing.
'70s.
This is the kind of thing that I'm kind of two minds about because obviously I have some conviction about the supernatural world and
Sure,
so
sure,
forth,
sure.
but at the same time, I also feel like there are things going on in this world that you can claim, are influenced by the demonic and the divine because everything is, but at the same time, sometimes a cigar is just a cigar, right?
Yeah,
And I do feel like the actual DeFeo murders, there was nothing about that at the time of the DeFeo murders that indicated anything supernatural was going on, right? And it's not until after the Lutzes move in, come up with their story about, something going on there, and then a movie being made that people retroactively say, oh, Ronald DeFeo was possessed by a demon. It's
well,
like,
he said he was hearing voices, right?
yeah, just like anyone else who's schizophrenic. I
Right.
mean, it's just, and even the Catholic Church is real big on working with uh
The
psychiatric
right.
assistants to rule out any kind of known psychological problems before they go, okay, maybe this is supernatural. And even at that point, they need some sort of miraculous evidence before they go, this is clearly supernatural, you know?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I guess this was came out in '82. It says
Yep.
uh
Yep. Those were my teen years. That's probably exactly why Diane Franklin stands out so well in my mind.
Roger Ebert said this movie was slightly better than the original Amityville Horror, which he
I
didn't
would
like.
agree with him on that. Yeah. No, and not just because of Diane Franklin. I mean, the construction of the story and the narrative uh idea behind it was really good. But again, this was a almost complete work of fiction. When this is one of those based on a true story means a murder happening in a house. We'll start with that premise and then make all the rest up.
And then, of course, you have to bring the devil and then the
Right.
exorcism at the end of the movie in the house, and I guess he still ends up going to jail, and I guess the priest takes the demon in himself, and he's all messed up at the end, and then kind of left on a cliffhanger. So anyway, I don't know.
Well, cliffhanger in that what happens after that because you probably seen the previous movie.
We get Amityville 3 after that. Remember that? In
3D. I have
in
that one as
3D.
well. Yep.
Did you see that in the theater with the 3D glasses? Huh?
I did not. I
Did you know
didn't.
that was?
Hmm?
Go ahead.
Oh, wait a minute. I take that back. I might have done. I'm sorry. I think I did see that in the theater in 3D because I was going through a period right there in the 80s where I was going to see all the 3D movies because I just enjoyed that shtick.
Yeah, and that was a PG rated movie, so nuts to that, right? But
Yeah. You lose something in a horror film when you drop it to PG
I
13.
don't even remember. I did watch these at least once, but they kind of fade away. I know there was an Amityville 4, The Evil Escapes, which I believe was a made for TV movie, and
Yeah.
like there's like a yard sale, and the demon, the priests, like there's like a whole cachet of priests that come into the house, and they exorcise the demon. And he hides inside a lamp, and they sell the lamp at the garage sale, and like someone scratches themselves in the lamp, and then the wound gets infected, and it's all about, I guess, the evil lamp. And I don't know.
Of all the things, why did it have to be a lamp? You'd think you'd go with something a little bit more symbolic, a little bit more creepy, you know.
It'd be funny if it was a toilet,
like an Annabelle
right?
doll or something, you know.
No. It'd be funny if it was a toilet, right?
I'm sure there are so many knockoff Amityville films. I'm sure that there's Amityville the toilet out there. There's got to be. I mean, there's already Amityville Bigfoot. There's Amityville Shark House. I'm not even sure how that works. Amityville in the Hood. I kid you not. Somebody is growing pot in the Amityville house, and it gets sold in Compton, and someone gets possessed by it.
Actually, that'd be kind of funny if someone started turned the Amityville house into a grow house, right?
Yeah.
You've heard of those, right? And
yes.
It's I don't know. I'm just I remember
I did want to fuel your Amityville tin hat a little bit, Agent Boomer. Did you know that Ron DeFeo Jr., the one who committed the murders, he actually died very recently. He died in 2021. He was still in prison, and his official cause of death has not been released to the public to this day.
It hasn't been released.
Why
haven't they released it?
I don't know.
What are they hiding?
I don't know.
Did he like burst in the flames or something? What happened?
Was it suicide? Did he smash his head against the bars or something? Or was there did he start a fight in prison? Did he kill some people? Yeah, no,
I don't know, man.
He was 69 years old. He probably died of natural causes.
No, man. What if like the floor opened up and there were hands that came out,
right,
and pulled him down?
We don't know. That might be why we don't know what the cause of death is.
I don't know. Jody the Pig. Yeah, that's the first movie. We're not talking about that here, Deep Inside. That was from the book, the pig, yes, right? Yes. Did you know that? Did you read the book?
I did read the book.
Okay, I read the book too. Yeah,
I did read the book, so I knew what the differences were between the book and the movie. Then later, years later, I heard there were new versions of the book out, and they'd actually changed it, which kind of makes you go, well, if it's a true story, why would anything have to be changed? Right?
In one of those History Channel documentaries, I think somebody was mentioning a Ford model car and like
yeah.
And I think like the hood flips up and they can't see the front of the road, but they said, but wait a minute, in that model car, the hood flips out the other way. Uh-huh. And then they had to change the model of the car in the reprint, and it's like, what are you doing? Okay. Yeah, so Amityville 2 worth catching.
So one last thing I wanted to say about Amityville, because we've been doing all this Amityville talk. You brought it up. We have got an article coming up about Amityville. Yeah. All the things that I was talking with about, suggestions to Big Al for possible reviews for some of those crazy knockoff films. I went into Sims 4 and I created the Amityville house.
What?
Yeah. I made it a cursed house. I put it in the town with the supernatural stuff, and we'll see what happens with that. But did you know you could? I mean, obviously, it's a real house. You can go online and find the floor plans for it. Which
no kidding.
Yeah.
You just recreated it in The Sims. Did you give it plumbing problems like black stuff coming out of the toilets? Can you do that?
It's The Sims. It's going to happen no matter what.
All right. So Jaws 3D or Amityville 3D?
I'm going to say Jaws 3D because Louis Gossett Jr.
Okay.
So and Bess Armstrong, 3D. Come to think of it.
I don't even remember. I think there was a scene in Amityville 3D of this woman, and she had like the jet black eyes or something. Wasn't that a thing that happened? Like his dead wife shows up at the door. I don't even remember. I don't remember.
I just remember the last 3D effect in Jaws 3D after they blow up the shark and like its jaws come floating towards you, and it looks so terrible in 3D or otherwise. It's just, oh my God.
Hence the line from Back to the Future Part 2, where Marty sees the hologram of the shark, and he
It
says the
still
shark
looks
still looks
fake. Yeah.
fake. Yes. Okay.
Honestly, I saw that and I laughed so hard. I mean, the end of Jaws 3D, I laughed so hard. That's what I mean. I'm like, I know this is supposed to be a creepy, scary scene, and I'm in the theater laughing at this, going, guys, you had such a big budget here. Oh,
I'm surprised when they did the Amityville Horror remake, they didn't do the prequel thing about the DeFeos as the sequel. I guess they just didn't. I don't know.
yeah. Well, you keep in mind, you always got to remember that if you and I this is why the possession changed the names and the characters, because if you don't have the sign off from the family, you cannot use their name. And with the Lutzes, they were totally on board and behind it. They were literally making money off of it. So you could use their names. And in theory, you were using their report of their own story. You would not be doing that with the DeFeos.
Whoever was left of that family, I guess cousins, because the immediate family was.
Well, true.
Yeah.
Well, technically, wouldn't you need to get Ron DeFeo Jr. sign
Oh, you
off?
don't want to. Yeah, and you don't want to give him money, do you? So yeah.
You don't want to
Okay,
give him
yeah.
money, and you probably don't want to deal with him at all.
Yeah.
So,
All right. So on to the news. You didn't ask me what I'm sipping on, by the way.
what are you
I
sipping
got
on?
a cherry Coke.
Good on you.
Yay.
I like cherry Coke.
It's okay. It's got a purple can. Thor: Love and Thunder gets ready to rumble with 300 million worldwide opening. Da-da, da-da, da-da. You excited?
Wow.
Am I not enthused tonight? Do I got to? Okay.
Yeah. So just before we went live, I was watching Valiant Renegade chatting with that Park Place. What's WDW Pro. They were talking about it, and Love and Thunder just keeps getting downgraded and downgraded and downgraded. It's probably not going to even make its lowest estimates.
All right.
It's really, really bad. And not only that, but this is kind of a 1-2 punch for Disney, because we were talking last week about how badly Lightyear is doing. And Lightyear has lost more than half of its venues this week. So it's going to drop off a cliff now. Not that it was really doing well to begin with.
So let me read from the article. In the wake of Universal Illuminations Entertainment's Minions: The Rise of Gru beating its 80 million four-day projection up by 54% at 125 million, tentpole fever at the domestic box office isn't stopping as Disney Marvel's Thor: Love and Thunder is looking at 140 million to 160 million start in U.S. Canada, another 150 million abroad for global debut of 300 million. I'll check the updates on that too when I'm done. Okay, Oscar-winning filmmaker Taika Waititi, who reinvigorated the franchise with a sense of color and grand comedy, thus catapulting its grosses to the highest the franchise ever saw in Thor Ragnarok's 122.7 million domestic opening, 315 million stateside finale, and 854 global, is back in the driver's seat for Part 4. The edge this time, as first teased at San Diego Comic-Con 2019, is that Natalie Portman's Jane Foster returns, becoming Lady Thor. Oh, and the big bad guy is Gore the Butcher, played by the Dark Knight's Christian Bale in his MCU debut.
Yep.
Heck, sorry, I heard a MeWe. So far, not the best reviews for a Marvel movie, and not the worst for a Thor movie. At 71% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, Ragnarok peaked at 93% certified fresh, while 2013's Thor: Dark World bottomed out at 66 fresh. However, an interesting trend that's been going on lately, in particular with Rise of Gru and Jurassic World Dominion, is that sour RT scores haven't weighed down on tentpole's opening weekends. Should Thor: Love and Thunder blow away its projections, it's simply because word of mouth is hot and triggered by walk-up business. While there are two notable movies left on the summer calendar, Universal's Jordan Peele-directed sci-fi thriller Nope, and Sony's Brad Pitt action title Bullet Train on August 5th, you could say Thor: Love and Thunder is the last big deal this summer in regards to the 100 million plus domestic charts. Demo-wise, this one is in the vicinity of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which opened at 146.5 million 2017. Let me go to Box Office Mojo. Let's see where it's at.
Well, while you're doing that, let me call out Auditor Dread. He said, I'm real curious about the drop off on this one. It reminds me of Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, which has not made 1 billion yet. It's not going to, I can tell you. In general, Phase 4 has been a drop off in quality aside from No Way Home. And then he makes the point that that is Sony, so that kind of is a different animal. I'll even say this. Love and Thunder is not even going to do as well in its first week as Doctor Strange did in its first week. Doctor Strange at least had the benefit of opening day, had a good opening because there was a lot of people coming from the Spider-Man side that thought that this was in a way kind of a sequel to that Spider-Man
continuation.
Maybe Spider-Man would make an appearance because Doctor Strange had just been in this really big Spider-Man movie. That wasn't the case, and literally you could see the drop off Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as people realized that was the case. You don't even get that uptick on Love and Thunder because there's nothing going into it that have people really, really excited about it, especially in light of the very tepid reviews that it's been getting. Well, Speaking of reviews for it, get over to Big Al Presents. He's got up a very even-handed, very fair review, in my opinion, of Love and Thunder.
So far the tallies, according to Box Office Mojo, 143 million. So I wouldn't call that bad by any stretch, right? But you're thinking there's going to be a drop-off?
It is considering their budget, considering where Disney has been this year. They might break even.
Yeah.
But that is not a way to do business. And that is not going to help them going into their mid-fiscal year at this point.
I'm done with MCU Spider-Man films. If they are done well, I'll give it a shot since it's Sony. I argued they could get me back with another Spider-Man movie if they have a Daredevil Spider-Man team up against the Kingpin. That might drag me to the theater.
What? That would probably actually get me too, to be honest with you. I mean, because that's really where my Marvel heart lies, is with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And in particular, those shared characters, those shared villains, which caused me to be even aware of Daredevil and some of the other characters.
Yep. So that's Thor box office this weekend. We will keep an eye on it. Let's see what it's like next weekend. Minions still pulling in some numbers, though, looks like.
Minions is doing very well. And so is Maverick. In fact,
Maverick will not go away.
Maverick might make it to Labor Day. That's a big deal. I can't think of any movie that's been a Memorial Day to Labor Day run like that. I mean, that's pretty impressive. Talk about having legs. I think that's going to probably be
this movie had legs.
Yeah. And rumor has it they're talking about a third movie. They're already talking about a sequel. You kind of have to expect them to at least talk about it. You can't have something do this much bank and not at least talk about a sequel.
So we have so now getting on to some sad news.
Yeah.
We've had some actors passing away.
We just had a week there where there was nobody. So we were celebrating an actor who's up there in years and still very active and looks like he's got still a long time ahead of him. And then we get sucker punched one after the other this week.
Oh. Let's see here. I'm just going to read his comment real quick. Like to add that Thor is a difficult character to get right on the big screen. The first film did what it needed to, but it's no Iron Man or First Avenger. Dark World was boring. Ragnarok. Oh, I don't know what the rest is. Anyway, though, but yeah, I don't know. I hate Dark World.
I would actually say that Thor is no more difficult to get right than, say, Superman, Wonder Woman, these big, powerful, tentpole characters. You just got to be a talented enough writer, okay, to understand what the character is and how to develop it. I mean, one could argue, well, writing for Star Trek is difficult, but then Nicholas Meyer came in, watched some episodes and goes, oh, I get this. And not only showed that he understood it, but he elevated it with Star Trek 2, and I don't know. I just feel like there's so many people that misunderstand. Well, I don't know how to write for Superman. I don't know how to write for Wonder Woman. These are overpowered characters. If you're focusing on their powers, you're not focusing on their character.
Yeah.
And you're not writing a story. You're marketing a product.
So the first death, I hate
Yeah.
saying this, is like I'm ticking them off. First one is, of course, James Caan. James Caan, the tough guy actor who scored an Oscar as mafioso Sonny Corleone in The
Yeah.
Godfather, and an Emmy nom for playing NFL running back Brian Piccolo in Brian's Song, among a host of big film and TV roles, including Elf in Las Vegas. Died Wednesday night in Los Angeles. He was 82. His family confirmed the news on Caan's Twitter page, but gave no other details. It is with great sadness that we inform you of the passing of Jimmy on the evening of July 6th. The tweet reads, "The family appreciates the outpouring of love and heartfelt condolences and asks that you continue to respect their privacy during this difficult time. Jimmy was one of the greatest," his representative Matt Del Piano said today. "Not only was he one of the best actors our business has ever seen, he was funny, loyal, caring, and beloved. Our relationship was always friendship before business. I will miss him dearly and am proud to have worked with him all these years. My thoughts and prayers are with his entire family during this difficult time." After a decade in business, Khan shot to fame in the early 1970s with back-to-back signature roles. He earned an Emmy nom as real-life cancer-stricken Chicago Bears running back Brian
Mhm.
Piccolo in ABC's Brian's Song, alongside Billy D. Williams, his fellow Bears running back Gale Sayers.
Yep.
The heart-rending tale of the hard-forged friendship among the NFL's first interracial roommates was the most watched TV movie ever at that point, with a 32.9 rating, 48 share, and went on to win 5 Emmys, including Outstanding Single Program, Drama, or Comedy. Yeah, you guys should know that back then TV movies were a big deal. It was like the movie of the week, they called them, right? So,
Right.
I'm a
And
big, yeah.
yeah, Nanette attended Brian Piccolo Middle School here in
Mhm.
Chicago. And when I was a kid, I saw that film. I read the book, I Am Third. Um, that yeah, that's a great one. And chances are we'll be doing a rewatch of that on Netters Network because we're in the bees anyway. So that'll be in the coming weeks. I for those of you in the community, obviously the big one is The Godfather, but
Yes.
he also played Sykes in Alien Nation for the more geeky minded of us.
Yeah.
Oh, at least in the movie. Obviously, they recast in the TV show.
Yeah. 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 But yeah, I do remember that. That was a talk about a cult following for a show, and I guess Disney owns it
Mhm.
now, right? So
Probably they own everything else, and they either f it up or they do nothing with it.
Khan followed that success with his best known role, the hot headed, violent, and vengeful Sonny Corleone, eldest son of Don
Yeah.
Corleone, Marlon Brando. Francis Ford Coppola's The Godfather. Film based on Mario Puzo's bestseller, won Best Picture Oscar, and is considered one of the greatest movies of all time. Khan's on screen death amid a hail of bullets is also considered among cinema's best. That scene rips your heart out, doesn't it, when you see that
Yeah.
in the movie? Yeah.
Yeah.
I also remember he was in Eraser. Did you know that
Oh yeah,
with
I guess he
Arnold?
was. Yeah,
Yeah, he
yeah.
was the villain. I was like, oh, that's my. But he was funny in Elf. Did you see Elf with Will Ferrell?
I
No.
did see it. I don't remember it
Did,
that clearly. It
okay,
wasn't
maybe you
one of
didn't
my
like it.
favorites. I didn't
So
say it's not that I didn't like it. It's just it wasn't one of my
it had
favorite Christmas
Bob
movies.
Newhart was in it.
Yeah,
He was one
I
of the
thought
elves.
personally, I
Yeah,
thought he was the best part of it.
yeah, I think so too. Yeah, but Rollerball, yes, a fave of mine. Yes.
Yeah, Auditor Dread says Paulie Walnuts and Sonny Corleone are both gone. Yeah, in the same week.
Yeah, we'll be getting to him soon enough. Now, of course, we covered this a bit on Friday. I don't know if we were gonna. Did you want to cover this here, the Twin Peaks actor, or
Yeah.
okay?
So we actually I did because of a hiccup and the complete collapse of Canada this weekend. I was unable to bring in my special guest on Friday stream. So last minute, um, Deleted Scenes jumped in, and we did a rewatch of Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me, kind of to honor Lenny Von Dolan, who played Harold Smith in that show. Reclusive character, very very small role in that particular movie, but a lot of fans probably remember him better as Miles, or as the computer calls him, Moles, in Electric Dreams.
Mhm.
Especially if you're a kid of the 80s, you remember that one very fondly, where he played opposite the very beautiful Virginia Madsen. That's another one I think we'll have to do a rewatch of sometime real soon.
I don't think I've ever seen Electric Dreams.
Oh, it's good. You'd really enjoy it. Very kind of its time, kind of those what would you call it, the computer fantasies, I suppose, like kind of on the level of like war games and stuff. It's like, that's not how computers work, but okay, let's go with it, you know.
Oh, looks like in TV it says Von Dolan also starred in Kent State, 30 something, Picket Fences, Chicago Hope, The Lazarus Man, The Pretender, CSI Miami, and Don't Touch, directed by Beau Bridges. What was The Lazarus Man?
That I don't know. That one is not on my radar. And although I did see Chicago Hope, I don't remember it very clearly. He was one of those kind of actors. He showed up in a lot of things. And you probably would recognize his face, but you might not recognize the name.
He strikes me as an actor that would have been on 30 something.
Yeah.
you know? Yeah. But yeah, I remember him from Twin Peaks. He was the man who was, what was it, agoraphobic? Is that what you said? He couldn't leave.
He was agoraphobic, and the whole subplot where Laura is working the Meals on Wheels program for the Double R Diner. There's several people that she meets along the way. It was kind of her. It's kind of tragic. She's trying to do something good for the community because she feels there's this horrible evil that is in her that she's trying to, in some small way, compensate for. One of the people she meets along the way is this character of what was it, Henry Smith?
I think so.
And he's a young guy. He's not obviously infirm, but yeah, he's agoraphobic. He's afraid to leave his house. He's afraid of crowds, open spaces, all that kind of thing. And what's really tragic in the portrayal in Fire Walk with Me is she comes to he's become like a confidant because he doesn't interact with anyone else. He makes a great person for her to be like her confessor, and tell about all the torment she's going through. And he wants to help, but he can't, but he can listen. He even takes her diary when, she knows that someone's been reading it, and she says, keep this safe. And he does, which becomes a big plot point going forward within Twin Peaks. But there's this great, on the last day of her life, she, comes to him crying, and he wants to help her, and she says, she says something that implies something bad's going to happen to her, and she runs out, and he wants to run after her, but he gets stopped at the door like there's this invisible barrier, and it is this obvious torture for him, and Von Dolan just played it so well, this portrayal of just the torture of the inability to break the bonds of his, phobia. And he wants to help this girl so badly. It's very, very touching.
The Lazarus Man, Robert Urich Civil War era Western. A Secret Service agent is framed in the conspiracy to kill President Lincoln and must clear his name. That sounds interesting. Okay.
Interesting.
Let me see. He has an upcoming movie, though, I wanted to bring up. Let me see. Van Dolen recently appeared with Sally Kirkland, Jennifer Tilly, and Keith Carradine in the upcoming indie comedy Sallywood, now in post-production. So you can still see him in one last role if you look for that movie. So, sad to see him go.
Unknown cause of death, but apparently it was a long illness. So it was a known thing. It is too bad.
That's too bad. Hopefully he made his peace before passing on. But next up is Tony. I'm getting his name right. Sirico, yeah. An actor who is likely better known for his performance as Paulie Walnuts Gutierrez.
Mm-hmm.
The Sopranos has died at age 79, according to the Hollywood Reporter. Sirico passed away Friday, July 8th in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. The actor was said to have been at an assisted living facility at the time of his death. Sirico's longtime manager, Bob McGowan, released a brief statement confirming his former client's death, telling the Hollywood Reporter not only was he a loyal client, he was a good friend.
Mm.
As of this writing, the cause of Sirico's death is still unknown. Nonetheless, his former co-stars and collaborators have been quick to pay honor to the Sopranos star on social media. Michael Imperioli, who played Christopher Moltisanti on The Sopranos, even took to Instagram to pay tribute to Sirico, writing, "Tony was like no one else. He was as tough, as loyal, and as big-hearted as anyone I've ever known." Recalling the scenes they did together on The Sopranos, Imperioli added, "We found a groove as Christopher and Paulie, and I'm proud to say I did a lot of my best and most fun work with my dear pal Tony. I will miss him forever." Meanwhile, The Sopranos creator David Chase also released a statement about Sirico, writing, "Tony was a jewel, the way Buddhists refer to a jewel, supernatural, and the master." Okay, I did love his performance as Paulie. I don't like that character too much.
Well, of course, but you're kind of not supposed to.
Oh, awful
Yeah.
on that show. In fact, when you watch The Sopranos, you realize Paulie, a lot of the conflicts that Tony Scroll ended up dealing with because stupid Paulie opening up his big mouth about things he should have been opening it up about. Remember?
Yeah.
I think he told Johnny Sacks about some operation Tony had going, which he wasn't supposed to, and it just it's terrible. But yeah, I don't know. We'll never really have a Sopranos reunion. Not that we necessarily should. That's probably a mistake.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Tulsa King will be what we're looking for in a new mob show. We'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see
could
if
be.
the same people are behind it, but I could use the Pines. But yeah, Pine Barrens episode, Paulie and Christopher is one of the best. It is. That had some of the best lines of dialogue. Paulie's on the phone because they basically I think they end up. Paulie gets into a fight with this Russian guy that they have some mob dealings with over stupid stuff, and they end up throwing him in the trunk of the car, and they're going to take him out to the woods to bury him. And like Tony's on the phone, and they're on the phone with Tony, and Tony's like, "I just found out from his boss. Okay, he was a member of the interior, and he killed 50 Chechens." And then he goes to Christopher and he says, he killed he killed like 50 Czechoslovakians, and he was an interior decorator." And then Christopher says, "Really? His place looked like shit." it's just just no.
It's hysterical.
That show was funny. Paulie was always looking out for himself and causing problems with the Jersey New York. Yes, he was. He caused a lot of conflict on that show just out of stupidity. Johnny Sacks, who I thought was an interesting character because he could at least be pragmatic some of the time, you know.
True.
So Tony could talk to him. But then he became boss and he got worse. Anyway, another death of an actor. I'm sorry. This is terrible. Sad news report. A veteran television actor, Larry Storch, known for his role in the 1960 sitcom F Troop, has passed away at the age of 99.
Yep.
I think if you make it 99, you're doing pretty good, though, right?
I would say so. Yeah, he was definitely holding on. You know, I mean, you gotta say that's pretty blessed. He for those of you that are geeks, we talk about Ghostbusters all the time, and we've talked in the past about why the cartoon series was called The Real Ghostbusters. And that was because there was another cartoon company, I believe it was Filmation, wasn't it?
It might have been
that had the rights to the Ghostbusters name. And that cartoon series, that Ghostbusters, got itself a live action Saturday morning show, which Larry Storch happened to star in. So that was my first encounter with Larry Storch. My mother recognized him from F Troop, and it wasn't until years later when I was watching reruns of F Troop that I came to recognize him. Great comic actor. My understanding is he was also the original voice of the Joker years ago.
The one from the old, like the Scooby Doo.
Yep.
In the end, I guess the original. I guess there was an Adventures of Batman and Robin cartoon from the 60s
basically the
as well,
Filmation.
Right?
Yeah, he was on contract to Filmation, and that's why. But
I wonder if that's on HBO Max. I should look for that. See if that's on there.
Yeah. And I happen to share a birthday with him, January 8th, along with Elvis Presley, Shirley Bassey, David Bowie, Dr. Stephen Hawking. Just a little bit of trivia there, yeah.
Okay, interesting. But he was on shows like Get Smart, I Dream of Jeannie, Gilligan's Island, Columbo, Mannix, Love Boat, Chips, The Pink Panther Show. So he'd be like the special guest star, right?
He was on everything, yeah.
Yeah, The Adventures of Batman, 1968 to 1969. That's when he was on there. And the Ghostbusters, I remember seeing some episodes of that from 1975, the live action show. And I was looking at him and that, like, he looked pretty old then. And that was in, what, 75? So
he did have one of the, he has always looked old. There are a lot of actors that are like that don't seem to age only because they always looked old. I think of Gabe Vigoda, who was like that. You know, he always looked like he was perpetually in his 80s, you know?
Yeah. So a lot of actors died this week. Rest in peace. And
there was actually a couple others that I didn't really think our audience would have known. I think we were kind of stretching it with Larry Storch, but that one kind of is very close to my heart.
It's a geek culture reference. That's the Joker. Before Mark Hamill, there was him, right?
Yep.
You know, originally I think they were going to use Rocky Horror Picture Show actor.
Tim Curry.
Tim Curry. They were originally going to go with him, but then they ended up going with Mark Hamill.
As I recall, it had something to do with an illness. I think he recorded some dialogue, but he had an illness that messed up his voice, and they were on a timetable. They had to move.
Recast,
Yeah.
Kind of like the original voice actor for Lex Luthor. They replaced him with Clancy Brown, but then they had that voice actor. He played the, I guess that one alien who was collecting things. They had him play him instead because I think they wanted, not Brainiac. It was a different guy. The one that Lopa was working for in the two-parter. I think they wanted someone who sounded like Telly Savalas, and Clancy Brown kind of sounds like Telly Savalas, so they used him.
Because it's very clear that they modeled the
Lex Luthor and Batman Superman the animated series off of that. McLeod Sailing, welcome. I am not a fan of the plot of Jaws 3D. What is the plot of Jaws 3D?
Another shark comes to Amityville, and I didn't make that connection until just now.
What?
Amityville. Or Amity, I mean, that might be the connection between the Amityville horror and the Shark House. They're drawing maybe that correlation with Amity. I don't know.
Disney's Snow White remake casts Pirates of the Caribbean. Disney's Snow White remake casts Pirates of the Caribbean alum as Grumpy.
Yep. We actually had talked about this a while back when Peter Dinklage started shooting off his mouth about the idea of casting dwarves as, dwarves.
I remember that,
And all the dust up from the actors that have dwarfism, saying, look, you're shooting us in the foot here. You're pretty much putting us out of business if they stop doing that. Well, I guess Disney has gone back on their plans, and they decided to go ahead with it. I think the fact that he's already under contract with Disney anyway probably helps.
Martin Kleba, who plays the pirate Marty in the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, is playing Grumpy in the new live-action Snow White film. The actor appeared in a promotional video seen via Comic Book from Denver's Fan Expo, where he candidly revealed his Snow White role. Grumpy is one of the famed seven dwarfs, named for his overall grouchy demeanor. In addition to all four Pirates of the Caribbean films, Kleba appeared in Men in Black 2 and has fielded roles on TV shows such as Scrubs, CSI, and The Cape. Oh, The Cape! You remember The Cape?
Yeah.
Let's
I
not
do.
talk about The Cape. Okay, this won't be Kleba's first time acting in a Snow White film either. In 2001, he acted in a TV movie spinoff of the classic tale called Snow White, the Fairest of Them All, where he played a dwarf named Blue.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the one that had Kristen Cruick in it? Or is that a different one?
That's the one I thought it was, but I'm not sure. There's been so many.
Whatever.
But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm just saying. Snow White wrapped film.
Snow White and the Huntsman.
The one with Netter's saying the one with Kristen Cruick was the Snow White and the Huntsman.
No, that's Kristen Stewart.
That's Kristen Stewart. Oh. Okay. I see. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. There's so many versions out there. It's very easy to get confused.
All right. Snow White's wrapped filming earlier this spring, according to an Instagram story from actor Gal Gadot, who is playing the evil queen. In April, Gadot shared a photo of herself and some crew members on the film, writing "Last Day on Snow White with the best team ever" at hashtag evil queen. That's nice, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do like the fact she's getting more work other than Wonder Woman, because I think she should be in more movies. Okay.
She's beautiful and she's talented, so she really ought to.
She's also not a snob. She'll take pictures with the crew. So that's
I know,
nice.
right?
Okay. Gadot also said that shooting Snow White was a dream come true. I love it, she said. It's fun. I get to do something different. I get to sing and I get to dance and I get to play the villain, which is something that I've never done before. Hollywood newcomer Rachel Ziegler, who played Maria in Steven Spielberg's 2021 remake of West Side Story, is playing Snow White in the new film, but her path proved a little rocky. The Latina actress explained that when it was announced that she was set to star in the new film, she was... See, now it's turning into this. Okay, she wanted to receive the end of some racist backlash. You don't particularly see people look like me or me playing roles like that, she said. When it was announced, it was a huge thing that was trending on Twitter for days because all the people were angry. Well, I don't know if that's the whole story, but we'll see. When it comes down to it, though, Ziegler is just excited to be playing that kind of role. At the end of the day,
let's sum this up really quick. Everybody bitches and moans about cultural appropriations and how you shouldn't take certain roles from certain people unless they're that kind of person. Okay, fine. If you're going to take that route, then you need to apply it to everybody.
Yeah.
You don't get to race swap in one instance and then call it cultural appropriations in another. Just saying. Pick one or the other.
Snow White is directed by the Amazing Spider-Man's Mark Webb with a script by Greta Gerwig and Aaron Crescendo Wilson. The film does not yet have an official release date.
How much do you think his name Mark Webb played into him getting the Spider-Man gig? I don't know. It just seems too on the nose there. You know?
Do you know the president of Nintendo of America's name? The current head, his name is Doug Bowser, and if you know Bowser, that's Mario's enemy.
Oh my!
They did a funny thing where, like, I think they announced the Japanese president said, "Here's the new president of Nintendo, Doug Bowser," and like a CG Bowser came out, was like, and accept the title of head. He says, "No, not you."
That is awesome. Oh, that's brilliant.
Funny. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I have to say, these live action Disney remakes, I've been nonplussed about. I watched the Cinderella one. That was all right. Actually, I have to give that one points because it wasn't verbatim trying to recreate the cartoon. It was kind of just, we're going to do another version of Cinderella, but they did their own thing, and it wasn't bad for what it was.
And what I do have to say about this particular actor, I mean, you saw it in my thumbnail. He looks like he is well cast as Grumpy.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you something else. The boy's cut. He is
muscular. I'm sure.
I was trying to find an appropriate picture of him because he's got a lot of shirtless pictures online. And he is very clearly someone who should be cast as like a Dungeons and Dragons dwarf in an epic fantasy story.
Well, if you think about it, the dwarf should be strong because they're mining for
Well,
like
that's just
jewels
it.
and
They're
stuff, right?
miners,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that cartoonish, dumpy looking style dwarf doesn't work if they're working in the mines. If they're working in the mines, they're going to be cut.
Cloud Sailing says hello.
Yep.
Hi.
Good to see you, my
Okay.
friend.
Only Twitter complained, and most of the Twitter are bots. Yeah, you never. This is my problem with all this. I never have any idea who are the ones complaining. Are these genuine, bigots screaming? Is this maybe someone over at Disney trying to drum up controversy? You never know when it's anonymous, right?
Exactly.
I don't know. All I know is I've not been as impressed with these live action Disney remakes. I was not a fan of the Beauty and the Beast remake for a number of reasons. I think I stopped there. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe the Aladdin one was all right. I think I got annoyed because they actually, I thought, did cast the perfect actress to play Jasmine, and then they didn't put her in the traditional outfit, and that made me not happy. But whatever. Okay. What do I know, right?
Exactly.
Did you see the Dumbo remake? I did see that one.
No, I
The
did
Tim
not.
Burton. I did it because it was a Tim Burton movie,
Was
and
it
I
any good?
just. I want to say it was kind of a hot mess. Here, you might like it. I don't know. Here's the thing: they do like the plot line of the original Dumbo movie. It's over in like a half hour, and then they go on from there.
Huh?
I mean, they change things around obviously because it's live action, but they end up. Anyway. This guy that owns a fancy theme park who's played by Michael Keaton, ends up wanting to make Dumbo his star attraction because he's a flying elephant.
Yeah.
And this Michael Keaton character, I'm sorry, he's the villain, and you can tell he's based on Walt Disney.
Yeah.
And I find it funny that the Walt Disney Company allowed Tim Burton.
No, I don't at all, because you got these woke activists that are now peppering all over Disney, and they vilify Walt Disney. It's ridiculous. This is why I say Disney is literally imploding from the inside, and all the 4D chess in the world is not going to matter if they don't start getting something done over there.
Yeah. I don't know. It was a bit of a it was a bit of a disaster. But it was a good performance by Michael Keaton as basically this demented theme park attraction guy. But just I don't know. It was weird because you got to see a lot of Tim Burton alum in a movie again. You got to see, Danny DeVito and Michael Keaton, and and it's just except it's evil Walt Disney. That's
Yeah.
what it is. Mr. Matchstick, hello. Join us on Mr. Matchstick's channel for a discussion of Gravity Falls this Tuesday.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. Okay. I should get my Zeus avatar out. Zeus avatar out again. Okay, so here we go. We have some HBO news. I have to say, this is kind of a light news week. We had to dig for some articles here, but don't worry, we got a doozy at the end, right? So
yeah.
a movie I'm looking forward to, I'll say that much. From what I've heard, less said about the live action Dumbo, the better. Well, exactly. They didn't do the pink elephant sequence, except it was like a blowing bubbles thing in the circus pavilion instead of it being the actual pink elephant sequence, which is considered one of the greatest pieces of animation ever set to film, which they didn't reprint. The one where they're all messed up in the original cartoon, they're seeing the pink elephants. It's, I don't know, pink elephants on parade. I gotta know. I think
pretty trippy.
I think out of all the animated movies, Dumbo was my favorite out of all the Disney animated ones. And anyway, let's move on to HBO. We like HBO. You do.
You're always talking about HBO.
No, I'm mixed on HBO. I will give them credit where credit is due. I knew Doomcock had a video recently that there's a heavy rumor that they're going to try to fix Game of Thrones by like retconning the final season or final couple seasons and just starting new seasons over again. Like, do you understand what I'm saying?
I think what he actually said was they're talking about it. It's in the planning stages. How is that actually going to work? You got to think about that, because it's like they're not going to get the same actors back.
The problem is they wrapped up shooting, but here's the deal. I don't know what those actors are doing now. And all the actors agreed they loved working on that show. I think they could get a lot of them back.
I don't know.
And they would switch out roles every now and then. They would have to, but
Emilia Clarke said she's done with it and she won't go back. But then again, a lot of actors have said that, and then they show them the money and they're back.
What's she been doing lately?
That's a good point.
I don't know.
Maybe she's holding out for that Han Solo sequel or something. I'm joking, of course.
She was nice looking in that movie. I'll give it that. But anyway,
just a character that never should have existed.
Probably, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. For decades, HBO has been an anchor of the cable portion of Television Critics Association's press tour, with the network's signature 3-hour block of wall-to-wall panels packed with big stars. This summer, for the first time in as long as anyone can remember, there will be no HBO presence at TSA in Pasadena. In fact, the entire newly merged Warner Brothers Discovery is skipping the upcoming press tour, as the company is going through the integration process, including layoffs, with the next wave rumored to be coming during TCA. Ironically, it was on the day of HBO's TCA session during the winter 2018 press tour that the network was hit with buyouts as part of the cuts instituted following AT&T's acquisition of Time Warner and the launch of Warner Media. David E. Kelly, Susan Bier, Nicole Kidman, Hugh Grant, and Noma Dumas-Weiner of The Undoing appears on stage during the HBO segment of the 2020 Winter Television Critics Association press tour at Langdon. Okay, never mind. That's from the photo. That was a boomer moment. Okay.
Fair enough.
Let me delete that, which I should have done for the notes. It's interesting. David E. Kelly, what's he been doing lately, huh?
Yeah.
Future Chicago Hope guy.
Yeah.
Picket Fences, used to watch that. That was must-see TV back in the day. That's where Don Cheadle, who you know as War Machine, that's where he got his start. But anyway, for decades, HBO has been an anchor of the cable portion of Television Critics Association's press tour, with the network's signature 3-hour block of wall-to-wall panels packed with big stars. This summer, for the first time, as long as anyone can remember, there'll be no HBO. Okay. Already read that. Okay. In addition to HBO, which has been announced, big news on the signature shows like The Sopranos and Game of Thrones at TCA over the years. Discovery also has been a TCA regular, with boss David Zaslav making occasional on-stage appearances. While it is sitting out TCA, WBD is taking a strong contingent to Comic-Con this month, led by Game of Thrones prequel House of the Dragon. The 2022 TCA Summer Press Tour, the first in-person edition of the long-running biannual event since winter 2020, is set to begin July 27th. Do you think that they don't want to be at one of these press tours while they're doing some nastiness behind the scenes? Is that what this is about?
See, it's funny. I read this a little. You might be right. I'm not saying you're wrong, but my gut instinct was I think they want to distance themselves from the critics. I think they're kind of making a industry statement. At least that's how I initially took it. I might be completely off base.
Do you think Comic-Con is going to be a big deal this year? We're finally out of work.
No, I don't, because I think comics in general, people are getting less and less interested in. The fans are starting to not care anymore. The bigger players, even if they do decide to go, are not a draw anymore. There used to be great exclusives at Comic-Con. There aren't anymore. And their rules on cosplay have gotten so draconian that no one wants to cosplay there. In fact, most of the Chicago area Comic-Cons, people on social media are talking about, I'm just going to LobbyCon it. You know what LobbyCon is, right? You don't pay to go to the convention. You just go hang out in the hallway with your friends in costume. And when they come around and say something about your costume, you go, I'm not here for the convention. I'm not a ticketed member. I'm allowed to be here. It's just a convention center.
Wow.
And then they go and party in the hotel rooms and stuff like that.
LobbyCon.
Yep.
Okay.
I've done a couple of those myself because there used to be, especially for the smaller cons, you used to be able to get, but the big ones were the best. You could go and get a table as a local, club to do recruiting for your local. For us, it was the Klingons and whatnot, and so many started cracking down on that or making it just ridiculous what you had to jump through in order to get a table there. We'd say, screw it. We're not going to do it. We'll just LobbyCon it, and we go around and hand out flyers or, make connections with people. And every time someone would want to have a picture taken with the Klingons, we'd make sure that, when you post it, make sure that you tag us, and we'd give them a card and say, and look us up online. Maybe if you want to do a, Klingon event in the future, come join us or whatever. And, that's what we'd start doing. So these conventions are really getting to be more and more money losing things, to be honest with you.
I think the pink elephant sequence was the first time the audience was tripping balls in a Disney movie.
Well, in fairness, that is the storyline, right?
Yeah. Well, they get alcohol.
They're requiring people to have the Pope before you can attend.
Yeah, even though we're out of the, pandemic regulations, Convergence is still requiring, in order to be a panelist or an attendee, you've got to have your inoculations up to date, and we just saw one of the Klingons saying, "Yeah, I'm not going to be able to make it because I don't have my most recent shot." And it's like, well, their loss, because this is not any longer something that's being mandated by, the federal, state, and local authorities. This is now the individual business requiring it. That's fine. You lose my business because of that.
DC won't have a presence in Comic-Con. Marvel will be doing their latest MCU home film series. Star Wars will insert another show, etc.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sure it'll all be about Andor. That'll be their big thing at the Comic-Con, right?
Yep.
Do you know Andor's like a full series? It's not like a 6-part thing. It's like full
it's going
20
to
plus.
it's going to be 2 seasons, although that's downgraded from 3 seasons. I don't know how the fuck you expect to get 3 seasons out of a character that only appeared in 1 movie and died at the end of it, but there's
possibilities are
Lucasfilm for you
endless. Possibilities are endless. Keep the faith.
You know what? I'll bet there's a storyline where he gets run through with a lightsaber, but we know he survives because he doesn't die until Rogue One. Apparently getting gutted by a lightsaber isn't fatal anymore.
You know what I have to give George Lucas points for? At least in Revenge of the Sith, General Grievous, we at least have a villain that's not a Sith Lord. You don't always have to have a Sith Lord as the villain, right? It can be other
I'll
things,
tell you what. Not only was he a creepy character, they kind of almost upped the creepy factor in the cartoon series when he's like crawling around on the walls and across the floor and stuff. It's like, oh my God.
He was scarier in that limited series. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. He basically says, the only thing I promise to grant you a quick death. That was what he promised them to the Chinese. So it was just neat that they, okay, does anybody really think Andor will actually be about Andor? No.
No, it'll probably be about some, transgendered person of color, Sith with a heart of gold, I'm guessing.
We'll see. RoboCop. Y'all like RoboCop in the chat here?
I mean, who doesn't? The franchise has had its ups and downs, but, by and large.
RoboCop Rogue City game trailer brings back Peter Weller as the cyborg officer. Now, this is, of course, not a movie. It's an upcoming computer and video game console game. A new RoboCop video game is in the works, and a gameplay trailer revealed that the original star Peter Weller is reprising the role. Developed by Nacon, RoboCop Rogue City is heading to PC and consoles next year, as previously announced, with the all-new gameplay trailer provides a sneak peek of what the game looks like. along with the debut of Weller's digital version of RoboCop, as seen in the title. The triumphant return of RoboCop wouldn't feel right without the man who brought so much life into the role, and we're excited to reveal that Peter Weller will be performing voiceover work on the game. Enjoying this first look at gameplay, and for the record, Dead or Alive, You're Coming With Me, the developer states. You can watch the gameplay reveal trailer below, courtesy of Nacon on YouTube. We're delighted to be teaming up with MGM to offer a new vision of the popular franchise that was created over 30 years ago. Nacon CEO Elaine Falk said when the game was announced, this game was the perfect fit to pursue our aim of offering different gaming experiences to the widest possible audience. MGM's Robert Merrick, executive producer, president, global consumer products and experiences, added, "We're very much looking forward to collaborating with Nacon and Teon to bring one of MGM's most timeless intellectual properties back to gaming platforms with a brand new story. The film is known for gripping action and complex storytelling, and we are excited for RoboCop fans to experience this firsthand through the game." The official synopsis for RoboCop Rogue City reads, "Welcome to Detroit. Crime runs rampant as the city lies on the edge of ruin, people fighting for scraps as others live extravagant lives of luxury. Control of the Detroit Police Department is given to the Omni Consumer Products Corporation in an attempt to restore order. You are that solution, RoboCop, a cyborg tasked with protecting the city." I don't know if you got a chance to watch the trailer for the game.
I actually didn't. I do love
Okay.
what Auditor Dread said, though. I'll buy that game for $1.
I have to say, well, I'll buy it for the full 60 if it's good. I mean, I don't know what they're going to be charging for it.
Yeah.
It looks like a first person looks like a first person shooter, which I think actually is kind of fitting for RoboCop.
Right?
It would be interesting if while you're in first person mode, if your actual screen can do different things, like RoboCop can record
that
things
heads
and
up,
do
that
yeah,
heads up
that would
display of his.
that would be kind of interesting. But I don't know how the game plays. It looks pretty good as from what I've seen, but the whole mood of the game is right with the movies. You have
Yeah.
the stupid news reporters from those movies all talk about the crime in Detroit, and then some punk shows up in the newsroom with a gun on the reporter's head. And
Right.
it's like, and they look like all those horrible punks from the RoboCop movies. And I guess there's a new head of OCP, and it looks like I think he's trying to put Ed 209 back on the market, and so you get to fight Ed 209. I think it looks very promising, so I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that they'll do this right.
Actually,
we'll see.
I'll go even further. I got my fingers crossed that not only is it good and therefore successful, but it sends a message that people still love RoboCop. And if they actually did a good follow-up to RoboCop, the fans would be behind it.
I am curious. I think you could do a follow-up to RoboCop and still have Peter Weller in the movie.
Sure. Absolutely.
I think he's in good shape for his age. I think, or even at the very least, have him do the voiceover, get another actor.
I was just going to say, you don't have to have him physically play the character.
You just have an actor that has a similar bottom jaw, put a mask over them, and have Peter Weller do the voice. And then when you take it off, you do de-aging or what they do with like Luke Skywalker. You could do a lot with RoboCop. I'm keep my fingers crossed. I think this could be bring back RoboCop.
I agree.
Did you hear that there's also a Terminator open world game that was announced as well? Like the idea of games revisiting 80s franchises. Hopefully, like Alien Isolation, they do a good job. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I didn't know they were making a Terminator.
I had
game
not
too.
heard that, and I'd love to know what time period it takes place in. I would love it if it's in that that future resistance era that we see at the beginning of Terminator.
It wouldn't surprise me if they based it on the original first couple movies. So
I mean, and you can have all kinds of stories just doing raids against the machines and stuff. Yeah.
Talk about a disappointment. Terminator Salvation. I was on board with that. Christian Bale was in it, and I'm not saying it wasn't a terrible film, but I was expecting to be so much more because I liked the idea that they were going to do another trilogy that was going to take place in the future war. They were just going to have it be in the future. Finally,
just made perfect sense. Absolutely,
and they didn't end up doing that. They just
no. And then it just kind of went downhill from there. Same thing with what was the one with Amelia Clark.
Genesis. I call it Genesis
Genesis,
because
yeah.
I just think it's
That
a
one
stupid
I
title.
wanted to like that one too,
No,
but it first I thought with even her casting wasn't the best, but for most of those characters, the casting was terrible. It really was.
Yes. And Matt Smith was in there as Skynet, which I kind of saw
Yeah.
because he's creepy. He can be creepy in certain parts, but I just
And then
they made John Carter the John Connor was the villain.
and the guy
Spoiler,
playing John Connor, great actor, but he wasn't John Connor.
terrible.
Didn't look
No,
anything like.
no.
I mean, look, once you know what the character looks like, you either got to get that actor back or get someone who looks a whole lot like him.
How many John Connors have we had so far?
Well, they've all been different ages, so you can kind of almost do a time lapse from actor to actor to actor.
I let go of the recast because they were still going with the storyline when they got to Salvation. They were still gonna. They had different actors playing Connor and his, I guess his future wife from Terminator 3. But they were,
Yeah.
you could tell because Claire Danes played her in Terminator 3, and they had Ron Howard's daughter, Bryce Dallas Howard. She was playing him in the. She was playing her in Salvation, but it's. Yeah, and then what that was originally supposed to be an R-rated movie, and then they downgraded it to a PG-13, and they said that threw a lot of it off, and I don't know. And then we had Salvation, which was just doubling down, and there's some atrocious bad acting in that from Linda and Arnold reprising their roles. Just
I think both of them completely phoning it in.
I think that would be giving them credit. I don't think it was phoning in.
And let's face it, there's also the messaging that starts making it worse and worse for fans and driving them away. So,
like Mackenzie Davis, I actually didn't really even have a problem with her in it. I felt, a lot of actresses, they say, "Oh, I'm going to bulk up for the role." I think she really did bulk up for the role and did take it seriously. I just think the movie was bad, but I don't blame her for that. And I am actually getting me. This is what happens when you actually watch movies instead of commenting. You can know a movie is bad.
What you really need is you need someone to come in and do a treatment with it.
Yeah.
That finds a way to look back at the history of and it's I know it's a Herculean task, but look back at all the Terminators and find a way to weave that tapestry back together again. Find a way to reconcile like the Sarah Connor Chronicles with the movies, with all the other and try to pull the fans back together again. That's what these franchises need to do. You need to reunify the fans instead of continually dividing, because the more you divide, the more money you lose.
What I actually liked about Sarah Connor Chronicles, even though it is basically a sequel to Terminator 2, there were still some things that were referenced from Terminator 3. Where like they said that, of course, because we knew that Terminator 3, she dies of cancer. And then, of course, she I think they look up her records of how she dies, and it turns out she dies of cancer. So it is kind of a reference. So maybe that was an alternative future that got messed up when Cameron came back in time.
And that's what makes for great writing, because and this is where I think a lot of, I'd almost say all franchises that deal with alternate universe completely miss the boat. You're supposed to have just minor differences between universe. Why do different universes exist in theory? Well, because of the Heisenberg uncertainty principle and the what do they call it? The collapse. What do they call it? The double slit experiment. All that. In theory, every possible choice, whether it's the movement of an atom or a choice you make in your life, leads to alternate universes. And because there should be an infinite number of universes, there's literally a universe where every possibility exists. But all those universes that are like split right at the time where the Terminator and what's his kid, not Reese, where Reese shows up, those should all be very closely connected. And you should be thinking through, well, if this movie had this happen and this movie had this happen, where is the divergence? So what all would still be the same, and keep as many things the same as possible. that makes for great storytelling. You know, then you can have this moving back and forth. As you move back and forth through time, you might end up in the Sarah Connor story, or you could end up in the whatever, you know? I don't know. I'm probably putting infinitely more thought into it than the actual writers over at you know, that are actually doing this stuff.
Well, we've had good stories. I mean, Continuum. Continuum didn't necessarily do the alternate world thing because, according to Continuum, if you end up, you can't have alternate worlds. Only one can exist. So, like the world will get rewritten around you or something. So they explained that on Continuum. They did their own thing. It was complicated. It was interesting. It was a good science fiction series on Sci-Fi Channel. And then you had Fringe, which had there was only one. They only had the one universe they saw into, at least. It was interesting. Early episodes of Fringe, Olivia was phasing in between the two worlds. When she phased to the other world, it was actually very similar to ours. It wasn't like the one we see later on, where they're like 30 years more advanced than we are. You know,
right? Exactly.
And I think maybe they didn't quite know what they were doing yet in the earlier seasons. They decided to change up the alternate world a bit in the future.
And what was great about that, again, you see the alternate world, you see what's different, and you start going, well, why is it different? And sometimes it implies a whole story in and of itself. You know, I don't know, just really interesting.
By order of age: Downton Abbott, Linda Hamilton's real life son, Edward Furlong, Thomas Snecker, SC Chronicles, Nick Stahl, Christian Bale, Jason Clarke, plus the guy who's at the beginning of Terminator 2, yes. I like Salvation because it tried to be different. Genesis and Dark Fate shouldn't have happened. I didn't hate Salvation so much that I wouldn't have continued on with the series. I thought it could have been a little better. I thought it could have been better, but I didn't hate it. But
ultimately, the only way to go back and, in quotes, fix this would be to do what they did with Halloween, which again makes it an alternate, choose your own adventure, and just overwrite Genesis, redo, do a good interpretation of that first movie that leads up to that war.
But Dark Fate overwrites Genesis too. Did you know that?
Yeah, it does.
Genesis is nowhere right now.
Actually, Dark Fate overwrites almost everything.
Dark Fate's terrible. And one thing I can't stand is when James Cameron, before Genesis came out, he was touting it like, "Oh, I was feeling like a fan of the Terminator. So you're seeing this movie, you're wanting that money for your Avatar sequels. You don't even care." That's what I was thinking, because you're shilling for this movie and it's not good.
Yeah, well, this is why I say just because someone created something doesn't mean that they're the best to continue running it.
Yeah. Netflix orders new Death Note project from Stranger Things creators. The Duffer Brothers have seen quite a bit of success with their masterpiece of a television series known as Stranger Things.
Mm-hmm. I've certainly liked it.
Okay. With the 4th season of the show becoming so sought after that it crashed Netflix servers when the last two episodes premiered. Now, I think you received those favorably. Is that right?
I absolutely did. I did a very short little video on my channel about it. No real spoilers, but
did they course correct from season 3?
Very much so.
Okay, good.
You know who did a really great analysis of exactly that point was the Critical Drinker.
Okay.
He kind of pointed out that it got. I mean, you could say it kind of started to go woke the 3rd season. I just think the writing got bad. I think they went too hokey and silly.
I wasn't even focused on some of the quote unquote woke stuff. I was focused on the fact that, I'm sorry, I know that Stranger Things is kind of 80s movie world, not necessarily 80s America, 80s movie, but even still, you got Russian soldiers on Soviet soldiers on American soil, and you have one guy running around with a Russian accent. I'm sorry, the feds would be all over that town. During the Cold War, forget about it.
Yeah,
if they had done it like the Americans, where they were perfectly blended in, the Soviet spies, where they spoke perfect American English and were melded in with the populace, that would have been the way to go with that.
So a minor spoiler, but I think it's definitely implied by the way the the season ended and the promos, is that all the Russian stuff takes place in Russia, and the Russians aren't predominantly in the U.S. anymore, with the exception of some smuggling operations going on across the Bering Strait, which honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if that wasn't historically accurate, to be honest with you.
Like I said, you can have Russian agents in the United States during that time. They just have
to not in uniform,
and not speaking with the accents. They speaking perfect American English. I'm telling you, on that show, The Americans, when they would talk to each other and talk to other spies, they didn't speak Russian. Right. Even on the soil, they spoke English. It was very rare when you'd hear the actors show speak Russia. Sometimes they would, especially if they did like a flashback episode where they were doing their training or something. But no, in America, they were in character all the time. They wouldn't let up on the American English. I guess the point is they were trying to be more American than American, right. With the way they were blending in. But anyway, let's get on Duffer Brothers. Okay, Duffer Brothers have seen quite a bit of success in their masterpiece of television series known as Stranger Things, with fourth season of the show becoming so sought after that it crashed Netflix's servers when the last 2 episodes premiered. You'd think they might have been prepped for that, but whatever. Okay, now the creative siblings have started a new production company for the streaming service, and one of the first projects is set to be a new live-action adaptation of one of the biggest anime series, Death Note. As Deadline details, the new television series will be a brand new live-action take on the story of Light Yagami and the mysterious notebook that allows him to kill anyone he wants as long as he knows their name and has seen their face. While Netflix has released a live-action film, this new series will be completely unrelated, leaving the plans for the sequel film now up for debate. The original Death Note series might have come to an end with Light meeting a much-deserved fate, but creators Sugumi Oba and Takeshi Obata returned to the world of Ryuk and the Shinigami via a sequel manga one-shot that saw a new inheritor of the killer book emerging. On top of the series, the anime creators also recently released a new series in Platinum End, which saw a young protagonist being drawn into a bizarre tournament where in the universe was decided which member of mankind would become God. I watched Platinum End. I have a rule with anime. I try not to ever knock anime because, all anime fans have different tastes, and just because you don't like someone else might be, I don't like to attack the medium itself. I hated Platinum End to no end, but you don't want to know. Anyway, never mind. I'm speaking Greek to you, I'm sure.
That's okay. Yeah, no.
This case,
stuff
Japanese.
I don't know about, right?
Or in this case, Japanese. The original live-action Death Note movie on Netflix came out in 2017, with horror director Adam Wingard releasing an adaptation that was quite controversial amongst the anime community. I heard no one liked it. That's what I'd heard. Starring Nat Wolff as Light and William Dafoe voicing the role of Ryuk. There had been rumblings that a sequel was being developed, though said rumblings might be a thing of the past at this point. I would think so at this point. It's funny. Many people at the time thought, why not just have William Dafoe play Ryuk, since his face looks like the Death God from the anime show.
Right?
This very creepy goth looking character, and it's just okay. They probably just gonna have William Dafoe as himself anyway. The Deadline article also goes into detail when it comes to Upside Down Pictures tackling a new horror series, The Talisman, which will adapt the 1984 novel from Stephen King and Peter Straub. The premise of the series is in line with Stranger Things, as it involves a large amount of fantasy while also introducing a werewolf that the Duffer Brothers describe as the best werewolf character ever. You a fan of The Talisman book? Did you ever read that?
I did.
A big deal, right? Yeah,
I absolutely did read it.
I
went through a period where I was reading everything Stephen King wrote.
Gotcha.
Honestly, that has completely ended, and I will never read another thing that Stephen King writes.
Gotcha. So, as far as this Death Note series go, I mean, I know the Duffer Brothers, I guess they've done most with, but the memory of Cowboy Bebop is still fresh in my memory.
Yep.
I just sounded like Austin Powers saying, "Allow myself to introduce myself." Anyway, the point is that the wounds from the Cowboy Bebop Netflix series are still fresh, and now they're doing this again. And frankly, everybody hated that Death Note movie. I didn't see it, so I can't judge. But no, and frankly speaking, if you're going to do Death Note, Light Yagami is from Japan, and he's Japanese, and a portion of the show has to take place in Tokyo because that's where it starts. Do you know what the plot of Death Note is? I'll explain to you
Not
the premise.
really. Yeah,
This is the
I know
premise.
some things, but not really.
Okay, a very brilliant high school student in Japan whose father is like the chief of police in Tokyo, or a high up in the police in Tokyo, or maybe chief of detectives or something like that. He finds this book lying on the ground, and the instructions of this book is anyone whose name you write down, I think, will die of a heart attack in 5 minutes, as long as you know the person's if you have the person's face in mind and their name is correct. You're not using an alias, because an alias won't work. It has to be their actual name. And it turns out there are a bunch of gods of death, and they write people's names down in these books and at various times, and they're the ones that decide who dies or whatever. Okay, so he writes down a criminal's name in the book, and the criminal dies, okay, of the heart attack. And later on, you realize that you can do other things. You can write down how a person dies. Like if they die in a car accident at such and such time, you can do that.
So you're saying heart attack is like a default? But
that's the default. Heart attack is the default. Okay. You can get more creative. And Light Yagami decides he's going to use this book to rid the world of violent criminals.
Interesting.
Any suspected murderers in prison, he's going to take them all out and write them out. It's a mass murder campaign. So then later on, another character called L, who that's his name, because I guess he doesn't give his name out because obviously he doesn't want the guy with the Death Note writing it down. He comes on the scene, and I think he works for the FBI. We're not sure where he hails from. I suspected it was Canada, but they never said in the anime because, of course, he was keeping his origin a secret. And he's there as a detective to try and stop this character of Light Yagami, who he doesn't know. He eventually starts to figure out and suspect who it is, but he needs positive proof. But he's trying to unfurl who this person is who's writing down the names and killing all these people, because, of course, it's still mass murder. And, of course, from both of these characters' perspective, they're on the side of justice.
Interesting.
But it's an
See,
interesting
this just
show.
Strikes me as one of those types of projects that would work best if it was like a joint Japanese-U.S., production.
Probably. And we do have those. We have
yes, we do.
Because we have, like I said, you could cast an American actor or Canadian or whatever as L, and you can have a Japanese actor as Light Yagami, and you could. I mean, they did Tokyo Vice, and that's a co-production. So, and
I was just thinking of that. You told me about Tokyo Vice, and I was like, well, this seems like another great opportunity, but who knows?
Tokyo Vice is what I call one of these bilingual series where half the show is in English, half it's in Japanese. And I think that it's made with the ideas, of course, HBO Max, they're trying to sell their service in Japan, so here's an exclusive show, but also it could also play as an American series since it's about an American reporter over in Japan. And I've seen shows like this before, like PBS had that Atlantic Crossing, which was a Norwegian production about during World War II, about how they were trying to get the Norwegian princess out of Europe because, of course, a certain party was after her after they invaded her country, So, and they have Kyle MacLachlan.
So didn't they get the Kingsman? No, I'm sorry.
No, nothing like that. Anyway, Kyle MacLachlan plays FDR in that show too. It's kind of interesting.
Interesting.
But yeah, it's just I don't know. Yeah, Netflix the anime was great. The Netflix live action was hilarious. I heard horror stories. I didn't watch it. It doesn't have to be bad, and maybe they'll figure out a way to do it right. I don't know, but I'm at the point where I don't even want compromises on this. You do the show as it was made, and you can make it a bilingual series. That might be the way to go. And like I said, because there are American characters on the show. It's funny later on when one of the people going after, eventually, you have to get points in the Death Note universe. All of the countries were folding because basically, Light Yagami calls himself, his online persona or whatever is Kira, the god of the New World. He calls himself, and he's the one ridding the world of criminals. So that's like his fake name that he puts out to the media. I'm Kira, god of the New World. And a lot of countries start folding and saying, "Hey, maybe this guy we should let him do what he's doing." And to the United States credits, we were one of the last countries to give in. But eventually, even the president does it. And one of the guys going after the Light Yagami at that point says, "Oh, look, it's President Chicken." That's what he says. And it's just, it's interesting because, like, basically at that point, people start almost worshiping this Kira, this Of course, it's like they start worshiping Kira like as an actual god, and like cults form around him and stuff. It's an interesting show, but it's ultimately just a cat and mouse game between two very smart men, okay, trying to get one up on the other.
I mean, it sounds really interesting, and it's a simple enough premise that I'm not going to be, completely lost. So
Yeah.
I think I'll have to seek out the anime on that because I don't think Netflix is going to.
Yeah. Death Note with the anime was great. Actually interesting. Do you know who did in the dub version? The voice of L was done by the guy who played Mr. Gata on Battlestar Galactica remake.
Oh,
which I thought was interesting.
Go.
Yeah. I've seen the Netflix live action, found it very funny, but it was really bad. Yeah, I don't know. Duffer Brothers, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, I'm just thinking back to Cowboy Bebop. Be careful with your casting, especially certain actresses named Daniela. Anyway, what was I saying here? Okay, final news story of the night. We have 2 articles on this. This is the one you've been waiting for.
Oh,
I've been waiting for.
Here we go.
You've been waiting for it too. This was a slow news week. Look, we're probably going to finish on time tonight for a change. Amityville in space.
In space.
Come on. This is what you've always wanted from an Amityville film.
Why not? I mean, Jason went to space. Hellraisers went to space. Why not?
Hellraiser, there was promise there. Jason, no, that was awful. I saw the one. Oddly enough, it had a lot of Andromeda alumni in it. Did you notice that?
Yes.
And the Jason Goes to Space, which I thought was interesting. In space, no one can hear you say, "Get out!"
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You think, huh?
Oh, Henri.
Will Bigfoot be in this one?
One can only hope.
Amityville in space and Bigfoot.
Maybe they'll make a reference to Bigfoot. That would,
No. The Amityville
First it was Bigfoot, then it was sharks. Now we're in space.
There were sharks in the Amityville house?
There is an Amityville shark house, yes.
What happens? Do they reuse the electrical fixtures
I just saw the
light
poster.
at the aquarium at the shark? The sharks
I have
become
no
possessed
idea.
by the devil?
The poster is ridiculous. There's a shark bursting out of the roof of the Amityville house.
That's the trilogy: the Bigfoot, the shark, and now in space. There you go. The Amityville film series is perhaps the most persistent and the most bizarre in the annals of franchise horror. The original Amityville Horror, based on 1977's nonfiction book by Jay Anson, told the story of the Lutz
still
family.
Calling it nonfiction, huh?
Well, the story is true. It said "quote unquote" nonfiction. Okay, told the story of the Lutz family who moved into the 112 Ocean Ave in Long Island, New York, shortly after Ronald DeFeo had murdered several members of his own family at the same address. DeFeo claimed to hear a demonic presence urging him to kill. The Lutz family claims to have experienced similar demonic presence after moving in and were eventually scared out. It's since been revealed that the Lutz's story was a hoax. Wait a minute. Has it been revealed? I don't know. I'm gonna have to. That'll be next week's story. Okay, I gotta look at it. Okay, but that hasn't stopped Hollywood from jumping on the Amityville bandwagon and adapting numerous films based on those events. Stuart Rosenberg's 1979 film, The Amityville Horror, which told the Lutz side of the story, was a huge hit, as was Amityville 2: The Possession, which told a fictionalized version of the DeFeo murders. The former would be granted a high-profile Hollywood remake in 2005. While the latter itself would be remade in 2018 as the Amityville Horror, the Amityville Murders. Oh, I have to look for that. They did do a remake of The Possession. Okay. Those don't even scratch the surface of the Amityville films, though there are currently 37 Amityville feature films in the world, including Amityville 3D, Amityville Dollhouse, Amityville Vampire, Amityville Exorcism, Amityville Prison, aka Against the Night, The Witches of Amityville Academy, and Amityville Vibrator, which is about exactly what you think it is. 10 Amityville films have been made in 2021 and 2022 alone. Take that, Marvel. With nowhere else to go.
I might have to start seeking some of these out, and I'll bet you a lot of them are probably on Tubi.
You know what you could do? You could do a whole month in October, a Friday night, and just do these Amityville.
October is Amityville month.
Oh no! Wild Eye Releasing is now taking the.
I would
Amityville
have
house
to do a stream or a video every single day, right? Like 30, 31.
I bet they're trailers, right? Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Wild Eye's released now, taking the Amityville house to its next logical space, outer space. Okay, now we go to the next article. Horror goes to hell with trailer for Amityville in space. Not really goes to hell, goes to space. Come on.
I just
What do you
There's
mean?
a
No.
trailer.
What?
there's a trailer. Check it out, people. It's horrible, just as bad as you would expect it to be. I don't know why I have a second clip, thing in there.
It has some computer graphics that wouldn't have made it into a Mind's Eye movie from the 90s. Or that premise.
I'm thinking, just based on some of the trailers I've seen, you might be better off going to check out Amityville in the Hood. That actually looked like a better film quality than what I was seeing of Amityville in space.
I just came across a movie called Amityville Island. Don't know if it relates to Amityville Horror Jaws. A shark is involved. Of course the shark is involved. See, the evil got into the sharks.
So this is the way you get around, and this is why there are so many Amityville films. You can't copyright a house in Amityville, you know. And if you're doing something fictional and not saying it's based on a real story or it has anything to do with that, you could do whatever you want and no one can come after you for that. So that's why they do it. They get to capitalize on the Amityville name, even though it has nothing to do with it.
Ahead of its release this July, Wild Eye Releasing has shared another trailer for director Mark Polonia's upcoming horror Amityville in Space, which sees the infamous haunted house exorcised from Earth and continue its reign of terror in the year 3015 when explorers encounter it floating in space. The ultimate battle against the Amityville curse begins after the infamous murder house is exorcised from Earth and reappears in outer space. Amityville in Space stars Titus Himmelberger, Cassandra Hayes, Tim Hatch, Ryan Dalton, and Jeff Kirkendall.
A bunch of people you've never heard of.
Oh, please. Okay.
You know, and
Cassandra Hayes, what she look like? Let's see.
The problem is I could totally come up with a story for Amityville in Space that would actually be fairly reasonable, right?
Can we hear the story? I want to
Sure.
hear the story.
My thought would be that they, after years of dealing with this cursed, house, someone does the most logical thing there is and literally demolish the house, right? But then how do you, the ground itself is still literally possessed. So some Jeff Bezos type guy comes along and buys the land, literally excavates it, puts all of the earth into, a what do you call it? Like a container, and shoots it off into space. He's like, it'll go into the sun. It'll never be a problem again. Then hundreds of years later, you do a, what was that? Cthulhu type story, that Lovecraftian sci-fi film,
Event Horizon.
You do an Event Horizon type story where someone encounters a spaceship with this payload in it, and when they go to investigate, they end up trying to kill each other or something, and it all goes. I mean, that at least would be plausible. It would still probably be pretty stupid, but
hey, doing is good.
It's better than shooting it off into space up style.
You want to hear this actress's credits?
Yeah, let's hear this.
Sandra Hayes. So she has been in, let's see here, we have Amityville in Space, completed. Necropaths, which is a short, listed as a Christian woman. She plays Dr. Nurmi in Amityville in Space. Okay. also known as Alice, a movie called Dune World, Invasion of the Empire of the Apes.
Oh wait, Dune World. I think I heard of that one. That's the one that plays like it's related to Dune, but it has nothing to do with it.
Well, you can use your imagination. Okay, she's an Invasion of the Empire of the Apes. Is that like a Planet of the Apes kind of movie? Like maybe not officially.
They all sound like they're all knockoff type films.
The Man with No Pants. This is just last year. She was also in a movie called Radiant Dark. Okay, 2020. She was in Amityville Island. So that is
Amityville Island, which someone just mentioned. Yeah,
that is an Amityville movie. I'm gonna have to, okay. She was also in Necropath, The Mountain, Alien Surveillance, Revolt of the Empire of the Apes, Slade Collins, In and Out of Time, Transformation, She Kills, Empire State of the Dead.
Yep.
Tales of Dracula, Amityville Death House.
Oh, so this is actually this Amityville in space is not the first. It's got to be a sequel to Death House.
Hold on. What is Invasion of the Empire of the Apes? I have to find this out now. Warrior Ape. Give me a minute here.
I'm checking out Tales from Dracula.
Dude, looks like she's in. Is she in a steel bikini or something? What is that? Hold on. I'm looking at the cover of the video.
Oh, dude, I just checked out Tales of Dracula. The stills from this thing actually look pretty good. It's black and white. It involves the Frankenstein monster and a werewolf.
It might be.
I might have to actually check this out.
Invasion of the Empire of the Apes. Warrior Ape Trask has crash landed on a dead world, stranded and ready to honorably join his elders in the afterlife. But that is interrupted when human terraforming ship arrives to restore the planet. Soon, this low simian survivor at the center of an intergalactic conflict between a greedy corporation, a fanatical religious cult, and a race of hostile aliens who seek apes for food. His only chance for freedom is with the help of a sympathetic and resourceful army colonel. But can the two of them avert an all-out war in the cosmos? Will the two of them fall in love? That's what I want to know.
One can only hope.
What is this? There's like a whole nother world I've been introduced to tonight. See what you get from our program? Huh?
Well, I just looked up Tales of Dracula from 2015, and it's available on YouTube. So I think I'm going to end up checking that one out.
Okay. I wish Murray Hamilton could cameo in any films with the title Amity. I'm telling you, though, Amityville in space. Think about it, man. The xenomorph will go near the house and run away. That's how terrifying that Amityville house is, right? You know, just.
I'm checking to see if your Empire of the Apes is available anywhere. Oh, it's on Tubi. You can check it out.
Do you think that these are these production companies that make these horribly cheap movies? And say, hey, Amazon, you want to throw it up there and give us some money?
As I looked at the other, it seems like all the actors that are in Amityville in Space are in some of these other movies. The Revolt of the Empire of the Apes, Tales of Dracula. All of these are the same movie company. Yeah.
Oh man,
this is hysterical.
This is the days of the video store when you would go in and you'd find your VHS tape with the nice cover.
Yeah,
but you didn't know what the movie was. You never heard it before. Then
you get it home and you'd watch it. It's like just something horrible.
This is the mom and pop video store all over again.
I mean, the worst was you'd have this scantily clad beautiful woman on the cover, and it's just boring. It has nothing to do with that chick that
the woman's not on the cover. Yeah, she's not in the movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's busy. You know something? I think this I don't know what to say anymore.
I mean,
I like
I get
the Apes
what
movies,
and I think it's hysterical. And there's actually some value in these low budget, silly. I mean, look, I saw Ouija Shark because Big Al did a review of it. It was horrible, but I still get a charge about talking about it. You know, I don't feel that my time was wasted. Well, it was, but in a good way. Not that I'm recommending it to anyone. Your mileage almost certainly will vary.
Ouija shark.
Yes, Ouija shark.
What is Ouija shark about?
It's about a possessed witch board that when you use it, you call up the spirit of an evil demonic ghost shark that chases after you and tries to kill you.
Why would you call up a spirit of?
I have no flippin' clue. Even after seeing the movie, I have no flippin' clue.
Was this somebody's pet and they're trying to contact? I just don't know.
You need there to be an origin story.
I need things to make sense in these movies that you're talking about. Okay,
they just don't. You shouldn't even go into this if you're looking for it to make sense.
So these Empire of the Apes movies, are these like, this is like another planet where they're ape aliens? It's not like a Planet of the Apes thing where like the apes became intelligent and took over the world or something, and then it's
I have no
astronauts
idea.
of the future.
Check it out for yourself on Tubi.
I don't know. I told you. I think I saw her in a steel bikini on the cover. It's drawn. I don't know if that's what we get in the movie, but I don't know. Might be worth a look, huh?
Maybe.
Might be better than might be better than what Disney is planning for the Planet of the Apes series.
Oh yeah, okay, you got me there.
I'm sorry. I really liked that. Not the Burton reboot Apes movie, but I like the ones that came after the Rise series.
Oh yeah, me too.
I thought all three were very well done. In fact, that's an example of here's a way to reboot something, and they did a good job, and it complements the original. And I have no idea what Disney's planning. I know that they said Iger was big on them getting it. He was planning to do stuff with it in the parks, but I don't know. You could do that in the what do you call it, in the Animal Kingdom, right? You could have a whole Planet of the Apes section, right? Shake hands with Dr. Zayas. No?
I don't know.
Okay. Anyway, time to move on. What do you got going on this week? Well, we have something going on Tuesday, don't we?
Yes, we do.
We will be on Mr. Matchstick's channel. We are going to be covering Gravity Falls Season 2, so we'll be chatting about that. That's like Twin Peaks for Tykes, is how I like to call the show, right?
Yeah, actually, now that you mention it, that's probably a good way to sum it up. Sure.
Yeah. And then Wednesday, I'll be on Soundtracks of Birdman. We will be doing a rewatch of Black Rain, the Michael Douglas thriller directed by Ridley Scott, which had Kate Capshaw in it. Mm-hmm. So that's neat. And Andy Garcia was in that as well. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to think, and a Japanese actor I forgot, but anyway. What else is going on? Friday, what do you have going on Friday?
Friday, based on a recommendation by Stephen Deleted Scenes Otten, I will be doing a watch party for the 2016 film Hacksaw Ridge, where Deleted Scenes will again be a guest bartender and a special subject matter expert, Vashnari, who he does have a YouTube channel, but mostly he plays Escape from Tarkov on Twitch.
Cool.
He will be with us to give his input as a Marine, and it should be an interesting watch. I've never seen it myself, so this will be my first time through.
It's in my top 10 of the 2010s movies. If I had a top 10,
this is truly based on a true story. So
yeah, Andrew Garfield's in it, and very good in it actually. And you'll like Vince Vaughn in it too. He plays the Clint Eastwood style character, the sergeant that trains them. He's funny in it, but he's different than how he still has a sense of humor like Eastwood, but his take is a little different. But
kind of like Arlie Ermy, but a little bit different.
A little bit different. That's what I'll say. Like, I don't think as cuss heavy, but he's still tough, and it's interesting. And I'm trying to think what else. That brings us to Saturday, right?
That would bring us to Saturday over on Big Al Presents, and I'm drawing a blank on what the film was.
You did Gone with the Wind last time.
Oh, give me a second here.
The made-for-TV Scarlet movie.
Oh, that would be good. I mean, he did talk it up last week.
With Coleman Meaney was in that, I believe, right? Yeah.
Let me see. Big Al Presents. Oh, Casablanca. How could I forget? One of my favorite films.
Here's looking at you, kid. Right? That's the line.
Exactly. That's exactly
Bogart
right.
is just fun to watch in anything. There's something about the way he delivered lines.
And this is one of those movies that they didn't bow to conventional wisdom and give it a
Right.
happy ending. It's the ending it ought to have,
Yeah.
and I like that.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's funny. They made a point that Casablanca came out of the old studio system where they kept cranking movies out over and over and over again.
Mhm.
They because that was very producer driven back then. They said that was like one of the rare gems that stands the test of time.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how many of those movies got lost. Keep in mind, there's tons of lost movies from that period that we'll never see again.
Sadly
They got
true,
lost. Yeah. I'm sure they'll be saying the same thing about computer games someday, that a lot of those are lost now too because of the way they were saved and not taken care of. But such is life. So that brings us back Sunday to Geeky Geezers.
Yep.
All right. Well,
And we can never give a preview of that because we don't know what's going to happen this week.
hopefully some more interesting news. Is Comic-Con coming up, huh? You get all excited about Comic-Con, huh?
Yeah, well, I'm not, but yeah, I'm sure somebody is.
What happened, man? Used to like the geek culture. What happened?
I didn't leave the geek culture. The geek culture left me.
Basically, they sold out to the big corporations. That's what happened.
Actually, you're not too far from wrong on that. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. Oh, Chris P, welcome. Good to see you.
Hey, Chris P.
But yeah, good to see you again. Like he's on with Birdman and I sometimes. Okay. Well, anyway, y'all have a good week. And we'll see you next time. Take care.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.